Hey, today we're gonna make a bunch of sci-fi thingamajig, what's it, bits and bobs, I don't know. Let's go. Well, today I'm making bits and bobs, what's it, I don't know. Got some intercom stuff, more intercom stuff, space beer, tools, random tools, I don't know. In my films, I like for people to talk between spaceships to kind of open it up. All this kind of stuff that I'm making today is typically the stuff, traditionally, pretty much every project I've done, that you're doing like 24 hours before you shoot because you don't have enough time and you're going crazy. So in this case, because it's taking so long to get a budget to shoot, and it's like, you know, I need a bunch of stuff to be on the bench. I was always going to deal with that, but now because I still don't have the budget to shoot, I won't be sitting there the night before painting this, right? I mean, I'm sure there'll be some last minute stuff, but you get the idea. So I thought it'd be fun to share all that stuff with you today, so it's sort of a hodgepodge. And, you know, as far as getting the budget, I don't need that much to get it in the can to shoot it. So I don't want to do a crowdfunding, but like I said, it has been a challenge getting the budget for this. So I was thinking about doing like a prop auction. Like all the years that I've been doing this, I have loads and loads of props that I've made. And I thought, oh, maybe if I do a sort of thing where I can offer those props, and that's how we'll raise the money for the film. So I was thinking about that. Let me know in the comments. But anyway, momentum. So, right? So we're keeping this train rolling. So let's just get into making all this bits and bobs for the film.
All right, here's my beautiful pile of junk. One man's junk is another's sci-fi props. Some beer essence stickers, tabs, Temu, repurpose, Harbor Freight, dollar store. And I got my paints. So I'm going to do this quick, down and dirty. So just going to go spray paints, protect my bench. And, you know, part of this is meditative, just kind of, what do we got? So this is some Temu stuff. This is like $1. I guess it's like a face razor. My goodness, this would probably be painful, but it's interesting. This is like a spanner wrench. I got these because they look a little odd. And then this is, I think, a battery tester, but the voltmeter kind of matches the vibe of other things on the set. So here's the stuff. I'm looking at it, I'm thinking about it, and now we're gonna dirty it up. We're gonna grime it up. So I got my air sander there. I'm christening it. And I just want to, you know, everything on this ship looks like it's within an inch of its life and probably should be replaced. That's sort of the vibe I'm going for. These are just kind of things that would be strewn, except for the wrench. These are just going to be strewn across his workbench. You know, you got to set decorate. And here I'm just sort of doing what I typically do on hero props, but I'm doing it more rapid. And I thought maybe this would be interesting for you to see me just kind of refresher. Here I'm blowing all the junk off with the air. And I'm thinking paint, tape. This is actually a hero prop because it's in the script, and I use a lot of duct tape, right? So somebody in the comments will say like, oh, duct tape in the future? Maybe not, but I'm not doing a documentary about the future of space travel and space life. I'm telling a story, and duct tape tells a very compelling story. It says, I'm the person who gets it done, whatever it takes. And, you know, it's a hardy kind of like bootstrap thing, duct tape, right? So now I'm just taking various spray paint colors. You want to use at least 3 colors. This green I'm using a lot, and just turns out my mother needed a new house number sign for her house. I made it for her, being a good son. And that like hunter green color matched her louvers or whatever, her shutters. And now all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, I'm incorporating this green color. So I always buy like blues and reds. So now I think green is in my arsenal. Thanks, Mom. So you see here some red. I'm just like spray painting random patterns. You saw me mask off there some clear, like the lens and then that clear part of that circuit tester. And the reason I did that, as you see here, is this voltmeter went away, which is fine, like I said, because it's just set decoration. But, you know, with the glass and the transparent plastic, I wanted to save it a little. But again, the whole thing about this process today that I'm doing is to not be precious, right? It's just sort of bing, bang, boom. And then now I just got some powder, just putting some powder on there, just mixing it up, right? We're powdering the donuts. And all this stuff is, you know, I joke and say, just add a little something, something or whatever. But I'm just trying to be entertaining because you're watching a video, but that's literally what I'm doing. I'm adding a little something, something. And then there's that, you know, that taped wrench, the meter. I'm sort of inspecting everything, thinking, yeah, that'll work. It's all good. And then I'm going to shake and bake. So I'm just going to put this in a bag, and then I'm going to shake it up, and it'll give some nicks, and it'll get rid of some loose powder that I got in there. And it's going to work great. And again, what I always talk about, it's like, you know, it's going to be on set for a day. So here, this is like, I think it was from like a wireless headset that you connect to the TV. And again, this is just for something to be in the background on the guy's desk, on his workbench, whatever, set decoration. So now I'm just going through my little resin over pours. Anytime I do a resin project, I pour it into these molds, what's ever left, and I save them for a day like this. And then here, I don't know, I have a couple knobs left over from when I built the console for this project. And I don't know, they were in that box. I'm like, yeah, sure, put some knobs. So here's another air tool. And I'm just going to sand these up. Again, these are not hero props, so, you know, I'm just going to make them nice, but I'm not going crazy, right? So that's just the flashing from when I cast them. Little air, clean them up. Bing, bing, bing. And, right, back to meditation. What am I going to do with these? How should these go? I'm like, yeah, they should go on there like that. Looks good. The other side. So now we're sanding. Always sanding. No matter if it's down and dirty or a hero piece or whatever. Can't escape the sanding. So now I'm just going to drill some holes into these so that I can add skewers. When you're going flat surface to flat surface, typically when you glue stuff like that, it's a terrible bond. So because I know I just have this flat plastic surface and I'm going to put these flat resin pieces on there, if I just super glued them on there, chances are pretty good they would stay. But as I always do when it's for the films, I overbuild because you don't want to be in the middle of a shot and have one of these just fall off and you have to waste time dealing with it. So I got some super glue, which I'm going to use to put this, and these are just skewers from the dollar store for, you know, kebabs. And I speed this up, but I do off camera because sometimes super glue is not your friend. And I don't think it really shows here, but I just had one of those days where my fingers were stuck together and then your fingers stick to everything you touch. Just deal with it, move on. So now for actually doing the final adhesion, I'm going to use some 5-minute epoxy just because that's pretty stout stuff and it gives you some work time. And I got my little sticks. And again, this is not in the script, so I'm not being too precious about it. This is just to give some interest on his little desk whenever I shoot the film. And then, yeah, that's an interesting silhouette, right? I say that word a lot. It's an interesting silhouette. So now This, I think, is from Temu. It's a little microphone. So if you notice in my short films, what I do a lot to sort of expand the world and sort of on a budget make things larger is I have people talk between ships. And pretty much, in fact, I think every single one of my sci-fi films, somebody's in a ship, they talk on their badge or in a video screen to somebody on another ship. And that allows me to bounce around and to sort of increase the scope of things. And it's something I do. So in this one, I thought, oh, you know, I think I was watching Fallout and I was like retro. And I was like, oh yeah, like little intercom, like these little intercom tabletop microphones. So I bought a bunch of these. And they're going to, you know, like the, you know, ham radio, like, or the principal giving a PA announcement. So I got a bunch of those. And then there you saw me, every once in a while, I'll kick out my nail polish just to make buttons and things like that. It's great for that. So here, again, I'm just painting everything silver, and then I'm going to muddy it up. Sort of the vibe. I just did that with that microphone, but I went off on a tangent about microphones, but you saw what I was doing. So here it's the same thing, and I'm going to end up scraping off and dirtying up. So now I have this heat tape, which is on the console, and I think it's on a few other props. Again, broken record, but it's how we get points across and we tell stories. This guy fixes things with tape, right? This should have been replaced decades ago, but because his commitment to this path that he's on that is not paying off, but he's too old and stubborn to give up, he's fixing things with tape. And yes, tape in the future, we're storytelling, right? So I think I've I've hammered that point home enough. So now I'm going to have to dirty these up. And as you see there, like I have my spray paint cans and I'm in a zone now, right? It's like after the tools, what's cool about that? Oh, I love the green now. So with the tools, I'm kind of like, okay, this is the system that I'm using today to treat all these props. And well, the microphones are actually set pieces, right? Because those are in the script. Here I'm just grabbing, you know, some gold, some silver, platinum, black. And then the black is good just because if you go too far, you can damp it down with the black. Then while it's still wet, it's interesting to sort of blot it and patch it and scrape it. And you get an interesting look. And then here, I'm like, let's do a wash. So just some black acrylic, some water, mix it up. Slather it all over everything. And what this always does is just like you see, like there's the ridge of that gooseneck that's bendable, and then there's like the little holes in the microphone, and a wash will typically make all that stuff pop. And then, like I said, what I do a lot is I do a blotting, which it kind of gives a modeling look, and I like that. So here, and then, you know, putting it over the tape. The tape accepts it differently, but it highlights the tape, but then it makes the tape look like it's been on there for a while. And just adds to the overall aesthetic. And here, I just thought, oh, I'm going to pour it down there. I don't know why I did that. But again, why I like to do stuff like that is if that worked out amazingly, which it kind of did, I'll have that in my back pocket next time when I'm doing a hero prop. And I'll do the, what are we going to name it? The waterfall technique, right? So we will do the waterfall weathering technique. You heard it now. So here I'm just, and you see the hairdryer a lot in this video because I'm just banging these out. I want this party to keep going. So the hairdryer, between coats, between stages, keeps things going. And then with this, I was like, oh, it's a little monotone. I'm just using a little gold rub and buff to just make these little Greeblies, Evil Ted, shout out, pop. And then I'm going to hit it all with a matte clear to sort of seal in all that dirty goodness. And like the hairdryer is in front of the fan because I'm just moving. And there they are. That looks good. Very happy with those. So now some adult beverages. This guy drinks a lot of beer. These are, I live in California. These are THC drinks. So I've been saving these cans because they're interesting looking. On my Patreon, I go into detail about these. But, speaking of Patreon, my book, what's going on? Have a little beer essence? Check out my book. There's a link in the bio. In my book, I talk about why I make these props when I have no budget for my film. It's about momentum. It's about sort of just getting things moving. So what was also great about these cans is they weren't printed. The labels were like, or are like shrink wrap on there. So it's like, oh, this is perfect. And then they have the reclosable top because sometimes people don't want to drink the whole drink. So it works on so many levels. I can clean out a few of these, put some non-alcoholic beer or ginger ale or something for the actor. And then I can reclose them so that they look like they're brand new. And here, again, I'm not killing myself. Like, there'll be 3 or 4 of these that'll be hero props that I'll take in my kitchen and clean and make them safe for the actor. But for all these other ones, they're just going to be in the background. So I had these stickers made online, like 50 of them, just put it on there. And it's got the logo, right? You see that logo on everything in this. It's kind of like the Microsoft or Amazon, whatever. It's just sort of everything in this world. It comes from whatever that company is. And then here, I'm taking advantage of these that I had made. And I have another one of these like ham radio microphone intercom things. And this is the one that he's going to have at his workbench. And it's like, oh, since I have these, let's just use that to sort of customize, add value to this little intercom system. Now this I did spend money on. The other one that I did earlier, that was like $2 from Temu. This one I think I spent like 20 bucks on, but like I said, I was watching Fallout. I got real excited. I was like, oh, this will be good for my movie. And then in the script, there is a few scenes where he's specifically like talking on the radio to another character. So it was worth it to me to spend the money. And again, back to my whole thing about my book and my momentum budget. It's like, I don't have money to make this film, but that weekend I spent $27 to buy that thing. And then, all right, so I'm not telling the whole truth. And then I went on eBay and I bought this one. This one was probably another $20. But that was like my money. That weekend, I didn't go to see my favorite band, or I didn't spend money to go to a sports game and buy beers and hot dogs or whatever. I bought these things, right? So that's kind of my philosophy. This is my thing. This is what I do, right? So when I say no budget, that's what I mean. But most of the time, I'm buying stuff on Temu and the dollar store. In this particular case, like I said, I'm being totally transparent. I was watching Fallout, and it was like, ooh, yeah, this will be a great idea. And I got so excited that I overspent, but I'm very happy with this purchase. And then now, right, so the way this technique works, if I could get back to how to, instead of my monologues, is that what's cool is when you do this with spray paint instead of the wash, there's a certain sweet spot where the paint is like tacky, right? And then you go at it with like some alcohol or some water, and you get that model effect. And again, thanks, Mom, for introducing green. Who knew how much I would like green, or forest green, or dark green? But anyway, and then you see now it has that little logo on there. Again, just a little nondescript thing that's going to add value, blotching. And then now I just have some of my nicotine spray because, like smoking, the nicotine spray is an addiction, whatever. And then I like hitting the wet paint with the air because it gives it sort of a splatter pattern. And then matte clear is what seals in all the juices. So here's some repurposing. I made a bunch of these. I cast like a dozen of these when I made Wakener. Didn't end up using them. A couple of them I donated to people for their sets, so that was cool. So here I'm going to repurpose them. I never liked the way that came out when I just used multiple colors of rub and buff. For some reason that didn't work, right? You live and learn. Like, I think the rub and buff is more effective when it's just black paint and you want to make like a scraped metal highlight. So I'm going to stick with that. So I'm going to repaint these black. And these 4 panels I'm going to incorporate to the set while those are drying. This I bought, again, at Temu, probably like under $2. And I thought, oh, this might be interesting to have on the workbench, right? So it's like, here I'm just experimenting with it. So it's kind of like an Etch-a-Sketch, right? It's got this kind of, you know, interesting colors. So I thought that would be great on camera. And the way it works is you do that, then you press the button and it erases it, right? And I'm saying that with question marks because that's kind of what I think will happen. But anyway, so I'm like, yeah, this will be an interesting thing. And it depends on the actor, right? It'll be something where the actor will see that and they'll use it to sort of sell a moment or be in the moment and they'll do it, or they will never touch it and it'll just be an interesting thing that adds value to the set. And here I put a little blood on there because, you know, I'm sure this guy cuts his hand working on stuff. And again, and all the time when I do this stuff, it was always like, I remove it as if it was real life, right? And it's like, oh God, I got to get this stuff off of here. And so here I'm just sort of, I think what I'm doing is I'm going to put something on there and lock it in, and that could be there. But if the actor decides they want to write on that pad, then good. Then we'll just clear it and then they can write on that. But that was a great purchase. And like I said, it was $2, maybe $2. And then now I get these back from drying, and I'm just going to use this little silver rub and buff. And then this is not rub and buff, but I get it from the hobby shop. It's the same thing, like a silver wax paste. And yeah, that was lesson learned on the rub and buff. I think it just looks better when you're just doing the old tried and true. It's black, and then we're going to kick it with some silver highlights. And these, I'll probably just incorporate them into my set panels. Again, just to kick light, add a little visual interest. So now that was the last piece. I'm going to hit that with some clear. And here we go. Here's all my stuff, right? And look at that. Look at that motley crew of bits and bobs and set decoration. I'm really happy with how these all turned out. And unintentionally, because I just knocked these all out in one day, it's kind of working for me that they all kind of got the same treatment. So yeah, very happy with that. Hope you got something out of that.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned these beer cans. I go into more detail on my Patreon. But yeah, got the, you know, come in, Blue Leader 1. This is Blue Leader 2. And then this one, I like this because I don't know what this is, but this will just be like in the shot, like back here. This is kind of neat, right? Depending on the actor, I don't know if they'll use it or not. And I think this is the main wrench. I have a couple scenes where it's like, oh my God, the engine. And if you recall, I made the engine, right? A few episodes back. And I think this wrench will do just fine. But anyway, there you have it, the bits and bobs. I keep saying I'm all done with everything for this channel, but who knows next week. I still have a Temu costume I have to make for a supporting actor. Maybe I'll do that on the channel. But again, let me know what you think about that idea of selling off props to raise money to shoot this. I don't know. It's not about raising money, this channel. It's just about sharing this with you. But that came up. Why not, right? So, as always, I hope you found this useful. Like, share, subscribe. Check out the Patreon. I do upload videos on there that I don't do on this channel. Sort of like, it's not behind the scenes, but it's sort of little things that are maybe not a video, but are interesting. I'll put them on that channel. And there is actually some behind the scenes. and I go over like the pitch decks for my films that I haven't made yet. So it's pretty cool. Support, it helps. But remember, I'm just here to help make sci-fi.
Hey, I'm just the avatar, but you might want to check out this video, maybe that video. For sure, subscribe if you haven't, and check out the merch. Buy some merch, that really helps. But hey, what do I know? I'm just the avatar.